You never know, I could call you. I get dings.
Good morning. Let's open up the meeting for the Pasco County Mosquito Control District. It's May the 19th. And call the meeting to order. Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That was forced, wasn't it?
Motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
I always hesitate on that second, don't I?
Hard to have it,
I know.
Yeah, you're having a break of
It's
the
good.
year habit.
Yeah, good that Phil taught us the right way. And also entertain a motion on the consent agenda.
I'll move for approval of that. Oh, yeah.
We should do roll call, that's right. Thank you.
Cox is
Since
here.
we approved the agenda. Roll call.
Cox here. Evans here.
Abbott here.
Executive Director Rogers present.
Okay.
Move
Roll call.
approval on the consent agenda, but I do have a question.
Go ahead.
Jose, how are we with getting, everything moved over to South State? I mean, obviously I see you're starting to pay stuff out of South State.
Correct, so we've transferred most of the out of debit to South State. The payroll just like that. I talked to executive director about running out of the the truist checks before we start printing, the checks out of South State, just to save the $500-600 that it costs us to print those checks.
Okay. So that's really what you're waiting for?
Correct. Once those checks are, which should be another, maybe one more check run, then we start really putting everything into South State.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'll finish with discussion. All in favor of approval?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We got a couple folks today with some good suggestions. Janine, did I get it right?
Correct, yes.
Janine Duffy, I think I've heard you speak before.
Yes,
Did
I
you
have been
speak
here.
at the delegation meeting?
I've spoken at many meetings.
Yeah, well, what kind of good things do you have for us today?
For the record, my name is Janine Duffy. I'm here representing a lot of the taxpayers.
Address.
5550 Front Drive, Holiday, Florida, 34690.
Which taxpayers you representing?
Most of them that I come in
Most of them.
contact with, yes, I have
There's
already
like
filed.
500,000 of them in this county.
I'm sorry?
There's like 500,000 or more in this
Yeah.
county.
Almost
You got-
700.
Yeah, you've got a lot. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
for sure, for sure. Just so you know, I've already filed for County Commissioner, District 3 for 2028.
Where
so
you
I-
have to live in that first district?
Do I have time to talk, or?
Well, I'm curious. We
Okay.
filed for it, but where is that located?
Here in Pasco County,
Yeah, but which district? is
District
that?
3.
Where's that?
Oh, you don't know?
Uh-uh.
Oh, a Holiday?
I'm getting new
Ca-
to districts. That's a new thing for me.
Catherine Starkey. Oh, yeah, your districts aren't quite the same, are they?
That's right.
They run a
No,
little
they're
different. But you should still be familiar. I live in Holiday, so that's a good sign of what district I'm in. I'm on the south side of the county.
Okay.
Any more questions?
Well, there will be about our mosquitoes down at Holiday, but that's later on. Go ahead.
Being that I am representing the taxpayers of Pasco County because I am running for office,
Okay.
you already know my disdain over the amount that is spent between helicopters, salaries.
Is that the 1.09% interest rate that we have on the helicopter? Is that what you're referring to?
I'm sorry?
1.09% interest rate, is that what you're referring to?
All of it, everything being spent.
Oh, okay.
The taxpayers pay for all of this.
Well, of course they do.
Right,
That's
okay,
right.
so we're also being taxed out of our homes.
Since 1951, they've been paying.
Well, now we're being taxed out of our homes.
Right.
The elderly, the single moms, such as I, who look after my elderly mother. Money is very important to the people that live here. Everybody's really, really strapped, and they're really feeling it. So aside from all the money issues, problems that we have, I recently heard that you have released these sterile
Oh, we
male
did get to it, good.
mosquitoes. Of course.
Another good thing that's
It
happening.
also makes me think of how the state has now signed a bill to stop the fluoridation of our water due to personal reasons and people that don't want to be forced medicated. I do feel like the poisoning and these male mosquitoes are about the same as that. You are messing with nature. The last time that happened, we had gain of function research that caused COVID. You have to be careful messing with nature. I don't think spraying the air is good for the people. Most people feel that it's their own personal thing if they want their yards sprayed and treated for mosquitoes. We're seeing a huge decline in bees. Also, even the love bugs, not as much as they are annoying, they are disappearing. Every person I speak to as I'm campaigning and I inform them about mosquito control and that you're your own taxing district, which of course most people don't even realize that, and I start telling them about what you guys are doing, they get very upset. So this is something that I will
Very
be
strange.
continually running on to inform people because they need to know. I'm really curious. I have a lot of questions too, which we need to bring common sense back to things. How do you know these mosquitoes are sterile? I mean, do you spread their legs and check? Are they tested? It really, there's a lot to it that doesn't make sense. When you talk about disease, okay, and mosquito-borne diseases, you could buy any science you want, okay, and there really isn't a whole lot of science to prove that these diseases come from mosquitoes. Any case that was here at Pasco was after the hurricanes, okay? You can't prove that this person got sick. Number one, you can't prove that they had dengue fever. It's just symptoms, flu-like symptoms. It could be anything else. What
Okay,
about
so
gases
one last
that?
question.
What
Is it-
about gases that emit from the stagnant water? Could the
Yeah.
sickness be from that and not
Yeah, we're gonna have
mosquitoes?
to move on to the meeting now, though,
Sorry,
right?
your time's up.
But you're saying.
Well, my time was
you're
up, but you
saying
took
the
half
fluoride-
of it.
But you're
Yeah,
saying that,
6
you're
seconds.
saying the fluoride did something to mosquitoes? Is that what you're?
No, I'm saying it was removed from our water because it's medicating people against their will.
Okay.
So it's the same thing. You're
Good.
forcing a
That's the first time I heard
treatment.
about spreading the legs on a mosquito.
You're
That's
you're
interesting.
forcing a treatment on people that don't want it. Just spoke to a woman the other night who was out walking her dog and got doused with one of your trucks. I can't even breathe on my back porch when you spray my neighborhood.
Okay.
My animals run inside off the porch.
Okay, well, anyway, if you wanna sign up for no spray for your neighborhood, you can do that. And
Awesome, I will do that
Good,
for
good.
sure.
Well, just
But and
have-
I will let everybody else know they can
let
also
them know
do
to
that.
So I'll come out there and we'll sign a petition not to spray your area.
Sign a petition.
Not a petition, just a signature.
Why can't we
saying-
just be like Pinellas and you come out when people call you? It's a larger county with a larger population.
Mr. Chairman, can we move on to the
Yeah,
next?
we can. We have Kathy Julian with
I'm just here as a person.
Pasco Watch, right?
Well, I own the company Pasco Watch, but I'm here
Oh,
as
are you
myself.
incorporated?
We are incorporated.
Oh, who all is your directors?
Me, myself, and I.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Any credentials in mosquito control or?
I have
public health?
none.
Okay,
None,
all right.
and I usually don't talk about the science. I mean, I'm more focused on the financial things. I
Okay.
did,
I
this.
didn't know if Janine was on the board, cause
No,
she
she's
has
not.
background
No,
apparently.
she's not. She's not.
Okay.
I
All right.
I don't
go
know.
ahead.
I'm not gonna comment on what she said. I know that you're buying sterile mosquitoes. At this point, we all just have to go with what we're being told and see how successful it is. I'm told by other directors that it hasn't been successful in their area, but I know you guys are doing something new and different because these are like a trial. You're doing some kind of a trial that you got the mosquitoes for free, which is, that's to be commended, whatever. That, you know, you're not spending money on it, because people are like, are they spending $500,000? No, they're not spending any money on it, so that's good, and I'm giving you kudos for that. What I'm here to speak about is what I'm always here to speak about, the financial stuff. I did finally get Director Rogers' W-2, and she's making more than everybody that works for the county except for 9 people. 9 people make more than her working for the county. I'm not sure, I didn't have a chance to check the, what are they called, the constitutional officers, and see how many of them make more than her, but she makes more than everybody but 9 people. There's attorneys that work for the county that make less money than her. Department heads, the department head of the park system makes about 145,000. I've also been doing an informal survey of the other districts throughout the state to see what credentials people have, how long they've been in the industry. We don't have the same credentials in this county that others do. I mean, I've seen that a couple of them are doctorates. I did see one of them actually made a mosquito museum, which didn't make them real popular with anybody, and we haven't done that here as far as I know. But anyway, the other thing that came out recently was the larviciding and the adulticiding sheets, or whatever what is that called? The statistics, I was trying to think of that word, that have come out. And we're doing way less treatment than other counties that have way less helicopters than us. I know you think the only thing we care about with the helicopters is you got a 1 point something interest rate on them, and that's great, and that's financially savvy, but most of the other counties don't have $8 million worth of helicopters. There is one county that has $13 million worth of helicopters, boats. It's just overall financial mismanagement is what I'm seeing. We spend too much money. There's no policy for working away from the office. There's no remote working policy is what I'm being told. And I hear that that's happening. I also have been informed, and I'm in the process of requesting the information to back it up, is I also was talked to in the beginning, the fact that there was never any approval at this board meeting for the increased salaries, and somebody just took it upon themselves to do it, and I do have proof of that. So, whatever, we'll be talking about that later.
Okay, well, thank you. It sounded more like criticism than suggestions. I was
Well,
hoping for some suggestions today.
Well, my one suggestion is you don't pay your director as much, if that's what you want. You pay her according to her experience. She's paid more than people that have much more experience than her and have much lower instances
Well,
of
you can
mosquitoes
take-
borne
you can
disease.
take my position soon, and you'll be able to make
You know
those
what? I
decisions.
have, Janine can run for office all she wants. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
No, not doing it.
Move right to the
And you
top,
know what?
though,
I
mosquito
think I'll
control.
probably be in District 2
Okay,
when they
we're moving on to the next item.
when they redistrict
New
it.
business, we got state mutual aid agreement.
Alright, so in your board packets, you received an MOU from the state of Florida's Emergency Management, Division of Emergency Management, and a resolution for you all to consider. The statewide mutual aid agreement, through Florida Division of Emergency Management allows our district to, request and also provide assistance during, before, during, and in the wake of natural disasters. I have not yet been able to get Pasco County Emergency Management to sign a formalized agreement. We've been working on that for a couple of years now. So state DEM is much more expeditious and interested in working with us. They recognize that we have assets that would be great for strategic location, as well as just use of potential assets during an emergency situation. So that is the agreement that you have in front of you. So if you all agree with partnering with the state, then I recommend we move forward with that.
Sounds good. Okay. On the county side, my understanding, we've been working together with them. But they just haven't formalized anything? Is that
We've
what
never
it is?
hesitated to help the county, you know, especially in the response to the hurricanes and all of that. So, you know, we're a good partner. Just, what's the holdup in trying to get something formal in place?
We have a draft that we presented to them, Nick, last summer? And so, was not
Who'd you
great
submit it to?
communication. Director of Emergency Management. And yes, we have worked with them in the past, and we're always willing to provide assistance whenever possible. In the wake of both Helene and Milton last year, during the nights, we were providing water rescue assistance with our staff and our vessels. We also provided some aerial support with one of the helicopters in the wake of Milton as well, looking at to see if there were any blockages in the river, because obviously the water was not receding as expected. And so we are absolutely being willing to assist whenever possible, but we don't have a formal agreement in place. And so, we will continue to try to move that forward, but, this would be a partnership at the state level.
Okay.
I'm surprised we haven't had this before, so.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's long overdue, so.
Her predecessor never had anything. so-
Yeah. So I'll move for approval and happy to see you do it.
Agreed. Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. And, see, just recalling Guthrie is in charge of state level, which you came from Pasco, correct?
Yep, you sure was.
Yeah. Okay. All right, recognize that name again. Next thing on the agenda is property liability insurance update.
We previously discussed items related to insurances and how to reduce some of those costs. We have requested through our broker the changes that you all approved last month. And so those are in the process of getting the feedback as to whether or not they will result in a reduction in the premium for this fiscal year. If so, then we will execute them. If not, then we'll wait for renewal to do that. And then regarding the Medicare eligibility employees, after further discussion, really diving deeper into it, we do not feel that is in the best interest of the district at this time. It's much more complex and robust administratively than we were originally thinking it would be. So at this point, we should be prepared to see that potential increase in what Florida Blue rates will be coming back for next year renewal if we choose to stay with them. Of course, we will work with our broker to shop around to see what other carrier proposals we might be able to take advantage of. And of course, the overarching goal is to keep the rates for renewal increase at a minimum.
So can you expand upon the Medicare issue?
So in order to do it effectively, we would have to, we couldn't just offer it to Medicare eligible employees. It would have to be a blanket across the organization. Whereas the guidance that we received prior to last meeting, we thought we could do that. And so would be an issue. And then the size of the program that would have an alternative option available to us, we just don't meet that demographic size at this point with our overall organization size.
There's nothing in place right now that would prevent an employee who becomes eligible for Medicare to go on it as opposed to staying on our health system.
No, we don't have a policy that says they have to accept our insurance. So if an employee chose to do that, we don't have anything against that at this point.
Yeah, you know, providing some educational, for an employee that falls in that group, I think is something that we, should try to provide. Because there are some penalties for certain parts of Medicare if you don't take it when you initially become eligible. Every month goes by, there's a penalty. So it could be detrimental to an employee if they're not aware of it. That's all I'm trying to do is we need to give them the information, help them get the information so they can make a good decision.
We can certainly increase education to those who are eligible.
Okay, maybe I missed it. Is there anything further on the property insurance side?
No.
Nothing? Okay. Very good. All right. Any other discussion, questions on that subject?
Okay.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to surplus property.
The board tasked me, after our last meeting, with moving forward and meeting with Pasco Economic Development Council, as well as, the Realty Group, and so we did have, that meeting, and there's a follow-up meeting, with the same group, and an additional party, in early June, so we'll be continuing that discussion, and of course, we'll update the board as we have further information. If we want to move forward in executing the sales agreement that was presented, by the Realtor, you all have that, in your board packet for review, and so we can certainly, discuss that, because we are expecting them to put in, some work on this project. We really need to have an agreement in place. So we do have, if you choose to move forward with this draft agreement, just some feedback from district council, we'll need to add language pursuant to statutory terms with specific provisions. We are prohibited from entering into a contract without language pertaining to E-Verify, human trafficking, so these are just clauses that we've had to add to every agreement that we've moved forward with. So those will be added to what you have in front of you, but that's very standard language that we've incorporated into some other agreements. Of course, you can negotiate the rate that's in there potentially if you chose to do so. Really just a starting point, so let me know how you'd like me to proceed from here.
Well, I think I'll wait till you get all the information together, since you've got further meetings going on about it. Review at that point. What you, discussion, what would you all like to do?
Well, I attended the meetings with the Economic Development Council and then a subsequent meeting with, again, the Economic Development Council and representatives from Berkshire Hathaway. I think we're at the point now where we need to, retain Berkshire Hathaway to, start listing and marketing the property for sale. So, the agreement that's in the package, Adrian, I mean, that just needs to be approved, right?
Right.
Yeah, yeah, so that's, we're at the point now where I don't know what else to tell you, because, we believe there are some potential buyers out there for the property. But we're at the point, we've done everything that we really could do without bringing on, a commercial realtor.
And what further information do you believe will be coming forward at your next meeting? Do you have the next meeting? We do have the next meeting.
We do have a next meeting scheduled in early June, and a discussion on someone who is looking for land in the area.
Okay, we had talked last meeting about starting to take a look at terms, so if you've given thought to terms.
I have,
So,
I mean, I've given thought to terms. Of course, I will tell you, it depends on who the end user is going to be. If the end user is what we don't need in this county, another apartment complex, then, as far as I'm concerned, then, I'm not gonna be, I would not support any favorable terms for that type of development. Now, on the other hand, if it's an employment generating end user, then, speaking for myself, I would entertain being a little bit more lenient as far as like the due diligence process and all that, or timeframe.
Well, following the guidance that our great state rep gave us, seems that the sooner we make the money go hard, the more we're gonna propose a due diligence of 100 days and 10% down, and the money goes hard at 100 days. So that's one of the terms I was considering.
So that's not a reasonable timeframe, because what we're dealing with here is you're dealing with a piece of property that has commercial frontage and the rest is agriculture. We have a special exception on the property because we went through that process. That process was a lot shorter than a complete rezoning. And it's, in fact, it's a comp plan amendment. So that process takes a very long period of time. You know, maybe a more sizable deposit portion of it going unrefundable at certain milestones, that type of arrangement. But those are facts that will be brought to us once they have a potential offer on the property, that we can then have that discussion on how long the due diligence process is and that. Right now, we're at the point where we need representation, and that's what's before us now. So I guess the question is, you know, do we
We can get
retain Berkshire or no?
Well, I'm okay with obtaining Berkshire, but you know, we still need to work with them, I think, before we advertise it out as to what terms we're looking for, rather than let the offer come and then later on go, okay, well, maybe we'll think about those terms, maybe we won't. I mean, it's better to put it out there and say what terms we're looking for. So, you know, as long as we understand that we're gonna set the terms before the for sale sign goes up, before it's, you know, listed out there. I mean, the thing is that more than likely, a developer doing single-family homes, which is immediately next to it, is probably where it's gonna end up. I mean, and that discussion with Dewey and his staff, they agree with that also.
Yeah, I understand that. I hope that's not the case, though.
Single-family homes?
Yeah. Or, you know, any more residential.
Uh-huh.
It shouldn't be rezoned at
But
all.
there are, well, that would be the best use, would be an office for mosquito control, no doubt about it. But the, I just feel that the buyer is gonna know the process and procedures, because they've been through it many times, you know, with other land that they purchase here. So I don't know, it just concerns me that you get, you know, 4, 5, 6 months into a deal and then boom, falls apart, you start over again. You know, and that's what I fear when we don't set our terms up front.
Well, I mean, I'll say that as far as what I'm thinking,
Okay.
and I'm only one, obviously. I'll support however the majority rules. But, you know, let's just say round figures have $3.8 million in that property, right? I would not support any deal that came before us if it had to do with a residential development for selling it for a penny less than what we have into it. Because in my opinion, that's really does not provide much of a benefit to the county itself. If a potential buyer comes forward who wants to, you know, relocate their business / facility there, that's gonna create jobs, to me, that's a benefit for the county. And as a not quasi, but as a fellow government here in the county, if we can help that by reducing the amount of money that we get for the
Yeah.
property, I would support that,
Yeah,
because
that area certainly needs jobs. No
it
doubt.
needs jobs, it does.
Gower's Corner, yeah.
Yeah, so it's two different approaches based on who is wanting to buy the property. But that's just how I feel. I mean, you know, if the majority of the board says, hey, we're not selling it unless we get every penny we have in it, then I understand that, and I'll support that. But, if it's an economic benefit to the county, then I think we ought to try to maybe do our part to help incentivize that.
Well, you said maybe for today's decision is do we move forward with Berkshire? And then the next thing we would do is we work with the marketing experts as to how to set it up. I mean, rather than us decide right here right now. I mean, just because we decide to go forward with working with them doesn't mean the listing agreement starts right away. You know, we can agree to work with them, but it doesn't go on the market until they're in agreement, we're in agreement with each other. Randy, you're silent, what's going on?
I took what, the gentleman said at the last meeting, our Eric and Jeske,
Who doesn't exist.
and, I love what he said. It's for the future of the county. We've spent all this money, all this time planning, and to have a handful of people persuade the politicians to bully us into selling this, I'm completely against it, and therefore I'm not for supporting this as surplus property any longer.
Okay. Well, I think it's time to meet with, Berkshire again and discuss the details. So maybe the thing to do is here decide if it's you, me, or Adrian, or a combination of two of us to do that.
Well, you can't do that. It has to be in a public meeting.
But what can't we discuss if you come back and then put it?
I mean, you can go
You
meet
can
with
go.
them.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I was saying, me, you, one of us, yeah. I didn't
Well, I
mean
mean,
two, I
I-
didn't mean two of us, I meant
Yeah, okay.
Adrian and one of us.
I have met with them, and, they, just what I just said to you, I said to them. And that led to a discussion on some developers that have built more warehousing, factory type things, and that according to the Economic Development Council, there is a big need for that 50 and below acreage sites. There's huge needs for that. So I think the demand is out there. I mean, you look at some of the developments, and I'll give you an example, on Ridge Road, right behind the Home Depot there.
Yeah, a little industrial park.
Right, and so, I mean, that was a below 50 site. Gary Blackwell developed that thing, and it sold out immediately. And every day, they get phone calls, regarding those sites. And it's really not something that the EDC focuses heavily on. They're looking for that, the Amazon users, that type of thing. But they do get phone calls on that. So there was a conversation specifically about a couple of those types of developers who do that type of project. And, that's where we're at. We need to meet with those folks next. But we need representation.
Mhm. I'm, like I said, okay with having Berkshire represent us. I've met with them also. But I still don't really wanna see it go to the open market until such time that we have things clarified with them, the terms of the agreement, of the
Well,
listing.
the terms are, they're in the contract. So,
Well, the terms are there, but not what we're looking for in an offer.
Conditions.
the conditions of a. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't bought a ton of real estate in my life, but that sort of happens after you have a written offer. I mean,
It could go that way. But in this situation, I mean, it's beneficial to us if we try to establish that they fall within some sort of guidelines that we're looking for versus just whatever they come up with. I mean, of course, we could do it the other way and just reject them until they get it right. But I mean, before even when we put it out there, you know, we had really very clarified, you know, strict terms, you know, when we put the last, what's the acronym for it?
Invitation to bid, ITB.
ITB. Okay. When ITB went out there, it was, you know, it was very detailed as to what we were looking for.
well, it was, and we did that at the advice of our attorney, and that resulted in nothing but, I mean, nothing that was acceptable.
Right. Low
Yeah.
dollars.
And the due diligence period there was very, very short, which is one of the reasons we only got 2 bidders. So, I mean, that's just a reality. You know, I think we got bad advice on that, but that's a different subject. You know, I mean, Adrian, you're seeking approval for this, right?
I am looking for some guidance to move forward, yes.
Yeah,
And
so-
if we're going to move forward with a realtor group to market and list the property, I think the first step is getting the agreement with the firm in place. If you're not at a position today, all 3 of you, to decide what those conditions for sale would be, I think that's okay. We can still move forward with the agreement, should you choose to do that. And then over the next month, before our next meeting, if you can come prepared to discuss what your, respectively, each one of you, has in mind for conditions, I think we can still do that at a later date. This will get the ball rolling. It will allow us to have the meeting in early June, and begin some of these discussions. And then if we do have someone that's willing to make an offer, there's room for negotiation. So, you know, even if we put conditions in place prior to listing, that could be something that is negotiated once someone presents an offer. So I don't think we're stuck if we were to set a condition. I do believe there's still room for negotiation with an individual who is interested.
Agreed.
So, Mr. Chairman, how do you want to move forward?
Let's retain Berkshire and then work on the conditions this month.
The conditions on how we would sell the property? Under what conditions we would accept an offer, is what I guess you're saying?
Right.
Okay.
And of course, take input from Dewey and his staff as to, you know, what sort of framework we should be within.
I've communicated that to them, so I've done that.
Okay, well, how much, for instance, how much down would you be looking for? How much escrow?
Like I just said, depends on who the offer is coming from. I want to see this property benefit the county.
Right.
And it would have benefited the county had we, you know, been able to do what we but that's not a reality. And, but we still have an opportunity to provide some viable project to the county. That's not just another residential project.
Right.
The residential projects are, that's the low hanging fruit. I mean, there's an argument to be made that market has softened.
It has.
And therefore, maybe the big prices that they were paying, they're not gonna pay now.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, they know, those developers, they know the process on how to get what they need as far as the rezoning of the property.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing they can't do is change the amount of time that it takes to do it. Because statutorily, a lot of those timeframes are already set in place, and you can't avoid it. So, it's a long process to get a piece of property completely rezoned. That's why we went and got a conditional use on it. It was an easier process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see selling a property through a governmental board is a lot more of a challenge than a private sale. Because once we do get to the offer stage, then we're gonna have to reconvene and all of us come to an agreement to accept or reject and modify the offer. Remind me, how much money overall do we have on the property again?
3.7,
Okay.
including purchase price, all of the professional services that we have done on the property during due diligence, design, everything over the last several years since we've owned it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with the 3.8 then on the one aspect of the sale. Do you have any thoughts on the price there, Randy, or you gonna stay away from it?
We'll sell it.
Okay.
Each mistake.
Unless you got further support, I think we're gonna table this until next month and get further feedback. And I'll give some thought on conditions myself or not, whatever the case might be. Any other thoughts? No? Okay. All right, well, I'll work with you and try to, get a better understanding on conditions then, or not, like I say. Okay, that's what we'll do then.
Okay. Thank you.
You are up once again, Director's Report.
All right. Before I begin my regular report, I feel it's important to briefly address a situation that's persisted for quite some time. As the executive director of this public agency, I fully understand and respect that transparency, accountability, and public input are cornerstones of good governance. However, I also believe it's important to correct the record when misinformation is repeatedly and publicly presented. Over the the past several years, a small group of individuals in this community have engaged in an ongoing pattern of personal attacks, misinformation, and harassment directed not only at me, but at the integrity of this organization. These individuals have questioned my qualifications, my background, my leadership, my work ethic, despite clear and documented evidence to the contrary of their lies and misinformation. Let me be clear. I bring over 17 years of experience in mosquito control to this role. I hold a Master of Science in Entomology. I previously served as Florida's medical entomologist, mosquito control subject matter expert, and bureau chief, providing expert guidance at the state level during major public health events, including the Zika virus outbreak in 2016, and in the wake of devastating hurricanes like Irma and Michael. I've been honored to serve on numerous local, state, and national advisory panels in this field that I have advanced in for over 17 years. I was hired into this position because I am, in fact, qualified. And because this district deserves strong, science-based, accountable leadership. Since assuming the role of Executive Director 5 years ago, we've made significant and measurable improvements to the Pasco County Mosquito Control District's operations and administration. We've corrected operational efficiencies, enhanced transparency, strengthened fiscal oversight, expanded community engagement, and modernized our public health protection strategies. Unfortunately, despite these tremendous achievements, a small number of individuals continue to submit an extraordinary volume of records requests, not for the purpose of accountability, but seemingly in the hopes of finding something, anything, that they can distort or weaponize. And while I fully support the right to public records and open governance, I do not support the ongoing use of false claims and defamatory rhetoric to undermine a dedicated public agency and its mission. This district belongs to the people of Pasco County. My team and I remain focused on the work we were hired to do, protecting public health, improving services, and being responsible stewards of taxpayer resources. I will not be distracted by baseless accusations or online misinformation. I will continue to lead with integrity, professionalism, and purpose, because that is what the residents of this county deserve. Thank you.
Here, here. Thank you for clarification.
Sterile insect technique. We have, in fact, launched our proof of concept trial using this sterilized Aedes aegypti for male mosquitoes here in Pasco County. This is an innovative project that's science-based, non-toxic, non-GMO, and environmentally friendly tool aimed at reducing Aedes aegypti mosquito populations, species that is responsible for transmitting dengue, Zika, chikungunya, and yellow fever. While Aedes aegypti makes only 1.6% of the total mosquito abundance in Pasco County, it is a serious concern for us. Unfortunately, misinformation continues to circulate regarding this initiative. Same individuals have falsely claimed, based on alleged input from unnamed experts, that sterile insect technique has shown no success in other counties, that our project is therefore likely to fail. Simply not even true. The data shows otherwise. In reality, sterile insect technique programs have been implemented with measurable success, not only in Florida, but globally as well, particularly in reducing Aedes aegypti population in urban areas. Florida mosquito control districts like Lee County, as well as Anastasia Mosquito Control, have documented meaningful population declines using sterile insect technique release of Aedes aegypti males. So much so that they've expanded their efforts to additional release locations, and our trial is modeled after some of those very scientific, evidence-based approaches. I also want to clarify another false claim that this project is costing the district $500,000, which is completely inaccurate. In fact, I executed a contract for this trial at zero cost to the district for the mosquitoes themselves. That actually was mentioned earlier today, and I am surprised that that was corrected. Our only financial obligation throughout this 8-week proof of concept trial period is for the shipping costs, which are minimal. This is possible through a generous partnership with RadSource Technologies, experienced provider of sterilized solutions and sterile insect technique support. They offered to collaborate with us given our recent experience with locally transmitted dengue cases and our mutual commitment to protecting public health through innovative science-based mosquito control strategies. We're excited to be on the forefront of evaluating this tool and potential long-term use as an integrated mosquito management option. And we'll continue to share real-time data, actual facts about the project and everything else that we do with the public throughout this trial. We have information on our website. We're going to be continuously updating that as we move along. And I remain committed to transparent communication and science-backed factual solutions. I look forward to providing additional updates as we progress through the trial. We've now concluded week 2 of the trial with successful releases both days, and we are evaluating the effectiveness, looking at surveillance data and comparing that to the area that we do not have this intervention added. So we'll be updating that on our website starting here soon. Any questions on SIT before I move forward?
And we're doing this, release every 2 weeks, is that?
Every 1 week. So approximately 30,000 manuals released every week, once a week. And monitoring is being conducted twice per week during that release, and then we'll be continuing that for quite some time after the trial is
Good.
completed.
Excellent.
I wanna say, I commend you for trying something different, something new, right? People say, well, you don't spray enough, some people say we spray too much. People should be proud of the fact that you're trying something different, right? And I think it makes a lot of sense what you're actually doing. I also wanna say that the public outreach and the transparency on how you rolled this project out was really, really good, right? You did that spot on, so the whole team wanna commend all of you for how well you did on that. The news coverage was really good. The videos, the announcements, kudos to everybody for how well you did there on that. And, will it work in Pasco County? Well, we didn't know before you did that, but we are gonna know after the experiment, right? If it works, then, we will continue it. If it doesn't, then, it's not the right fit for Pasco. But you don't know until you try it. So, glad
Last
that you
week-
did that.
Yeah.
And it's good leadership.
I agree. Last week I I spoke with Director at Lee County and representative from the US Air Force, and they tell me that it absolutely will work, because it does work. So I don't even think it's a trial, but there you go.
Well, every demographic is different, right? If Adrian didn't think it would work in Pasco County, she never would have proposed it, right?
Mhm.
So the likelihood of it having a positive impact is probably very great. But honestly, you don't know until you try, so why, jump completely in, and allocate resources towards it until you know whether or not it's gonna work.
And this is not uncommon. I mean, we do this with every new methodology, every new product we're adding to our regime. So, everything that we're adding to the program, we evaluate on a small scale first, whether it's in the lab initially with Agna and her staff, or bringing it out into the field to a full-scale trial. We don't just deploy something new without testing it, because of the uniqueness of our geographic location, our mosquito species in different populations. There are nuances. You can't just take something and assume it's going to work. And so this is how we roll out any new product or piece of equipment or methodology, with a small scales trial before investing the resources and going full bore.
Well, we discussed it a couple of years ago, and I think you were kind of waiting to see what the others' results were, to see if it was a viable thing that we should try.
Yes, I have been involved in the progression of sterile insect technique for Aedes aegypti in Florida over the last decade, and it's really come a long way in optimizing operational efficiencies, and Lee County really pioneered that. Right after Zika, I was working at the state level as the state's medical entomologist at the time, but very involved in the early discussions in trying to looks like for full-scale deployment in an operational setting, using this technology. And they've come a long way, they've really advanced it, so it's been exciting to watch that progression over time. And, you know, when I first came here, it just wasn't there yet, so I didn't want to explore it as an option at that time. But it's really progressed and fine-tuned. Last year, Lee County did operational releases in an area of downtown Fort Myers. Anastasia's been doing it in an area in St. Augustine. So these are very urbanized areas where 10 years ago, we weren't looking at it for something, you know, that's specific in an area that had a lot of, that didn't have sort of natural barriers for mosquitoes to be confined in. And so it's really come a long way, and it's all part of the evaluation process.
Now, this was different than the release in the Keys, correct?
That's
Yes.
correct. And started in 2009 and 10, I was at Florida Keys Mosquito Control District at the time, when we began discussions with the British company Oxitec to bring genetically modified Aedes aegypti to Florida. At the time, it had been used successfully in Brazil and other countries throughout the globe, but it hadn't been used in the United States. And this was following a dengue outbreak in 2009 and 10. First time it had been seen in Florida in decades at that point. And so that is very different from the technique that we're using here. The Oxitec mosquito uses a genetic modification, and that genetic modification is what sterilizes the mosquitoes, and then those mosquitoes are released. What we're doing is traditional, exposing them to traditional x-rays, so it sterilizes them with a low-dose x-ray. So there is no genetic modification. It's similar to you going through and getting an imaging at your doctor's office or physician's. But obviously, they're much smaller than we are, mosquito, and so it impacts them differently. And so as a result, mosquitoes are sterilized, and then we release those mosquitoes. And the idea, of course, for both techniques, whether it's genetic modification with the Oxitec mosquito, or what we're doing in Pasco County, using low-dose x-rays for sterilization, the result is the same. They're both sterile. They mate with the wild Aedes aegypti females, and their offspring are not viable, so any eggs that are produced from that mating do not hatch, and over time, you see a very localized decline of that Aedes aegypti population.
I do commend you for using more of a natural approach. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you.
And not the GMO.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're not messing with Mother Nature, so to speak, by genetically modifying them.
Nope.
I have a question.
They're getting neutered.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the way I look at it, we
Family
put our
planning.
money into education, not attorneys. That's the way I think of it.
Okay.
On the financial side, you know all the science. That's good, you've experienced both sides of it. Well, a couple different methods,
Yes.
not both sides, yeah.
Well, you don't have to approve it. We count them.
Okay.
Anything else
Good.
on SIT?
No, Maria filled me in a little bit on the first release, so that was good, and similar things happen in other areas, similar to our first release, so. Good, okay. What else you got?
Okay, Marathon Road, the only thing I've been able to achieve since our last meeting is to schedule a meeting for June with the county attorney, the county administrator, and the lead county attorney. Turns out the administrator is very difficult to wrangle for a meeting, so we finally do have something on the calendar, so that will be coming, and I will provide an update when I've got information to share. Pasco One Health Alliance, we continue to grow the Pasco One Health Alliance as a cross-sector network of professionals that are dedicated to improving coordination between human, animal, and environmental health in Pasco County. Following our second meeting this spring, our engagement remained very strong with participation from a wide range of public health, animal services, environmental, and support agencies. We currently finalizing a centralized communication platform to streamline the updates to increase and among the participants. We are, the Pasco County Mosquito Control District has also agreed to host the informational sub-page on our webpage for POHA, so that we can promote the Alliance mission and improve public visibility on it. Follow-up survey was sent to members to guide next steps in identifying different priorities for future planning of this group. As we prepare for hurricane season, Pasco One Health Alliance is focused on enhancing integrity, collaboration, and ensuring that we are all better positioned for coordinated response in the event of future public health challenges. Any questions on POHA? Tomorrow, we are hosting for the second year in a row the Gulf Coast Regional Roundtable that is put on through Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. This is a full-day meeting that brings together mosquito control directors and staff from across our region, including attendees from, of course, Pasco, Hernando, Hillsborough, Osceola, Pinellas, Pope, Lake, Citrus, Marion counties, and also the city of Alachua and Gainesville are also expected to attend tomorrow. And we will.
What's the hours on that?
It's most of the day. I can get you that information.
Okay, so like nine to five, 9 to 4,
It's
9 to 3.
either 8:30 or 9 to
Okay.
about 2:30, something like that. So yeah, most of the day, and discussions will occur on hurricane response coordination, mutual aid agreements, working together. I'll highlight some of our successes from last year, working with our Tri-County area, Pinellas and Hillsborough, on triple E response and dengue. We'll talk about drone implementation programs, our SIT efforts, also be reporting on POHA and our interagency collaboration efforts, and then of course whatever other challenges that we all can work out together.
And what are you calling this again?
So this is the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. They host the meeting. It's the Gulf Coast Regional Roundtable is what they've called it. They started this back when I was at the state level, and so they've been doing this now for 8-10 years, and this will be the second year that we will be hosting. Formerly, it was held at the Citrus County Mosquito Control District for the first several years, and then last year we offered to host. And actually, last year we saw the highest participation that they've ever had in the group. So we got some of the others that, for whatever reason, didn't make the trip up to Citrus in the past.
Maybe
they
you're
came
serving
here.
better snacks than lunch.
Maybe. Maybe. But it's really a valuable opportunity for us to inform each other about operations, what challenges and leadership opportunities we have that can really help shape regional public health efforts and collaboration. So I, as always, I can provide you all with an update and key takeaways from that at our next meeting. We have had a couple of new hires since we spoke last. Mosquito technician Jacob Moore and 2 seasonal ULV drivers, David Cochran and Joan McIntyre, as seasonal ULV drivers. In addition to your board packets, as we're continuously trying to improve the information we're reporting, I want to take a moment to highlight some of the positive feedback that we've received this month, and that is now going to be a staple in your board packet. We've had several citizens reach out, express appreciation for responsiveness and professionalism of our team, so I will just read a couple of those off.
I want Karen's autograph too. I think that's the best one.
That was so cute. That was a classic.
So we had one individual write in, "You're doing a great job, you guys are on fire." We had another resident provide a review on Google. A young man named Mike, which is one of our mosquito technicians, Mike Santiani, came out to my property. He was very informative. He was, Semide, not Santiani, that's a different Mike. My apologies. Came out to my property, he was very informative, he was polite and very pleasant. I wish other companies would follow that. He sprayed and did everything he was supposed to, and I would recommend him to anyone. Thank you, Mike, for a job well done. Then we had another resident specifically referencing another mosquito technician. Resident called and gave a huge kudos to Kyle Ruin for being polite, intelligent, friendly, and completing his tasks and following through with his commitments. I wanted us to know that he was a great employee for us. We had another one. Thank you so much for being so open to sharing what you know and for the passion you bring to protecting our community. It's honestly so inspiring. You're making such a meaningful impact, and I'm grateful to witness you. And just another one, and then I won't read them all, but I do think it's important to share this feedback. I wanted to thank you again for having me out today and for providing the tours. It was great to see the facility and to meet you all. So, just some positive feedback from our residents that we will now be sharing.
That newsletter at Starkey Park was not Starkey Park, Starkey Ranch was really, really nice. Was it Starkey Ranch? I always mix up
Yeah.
Starkey.
It was,
Yeah, it was.
Starkey Ranch, Esplende.
Esplende.
Yeah, that was really good.
Yes.
All of it's really good.
It is, and this kind of, these types of compliments remind us how the work that we do matters, and both to public health and within our own team. So we'll also be sharing positive feedback from team members as well, so you can see that, and I look forward to continuing to share this, these monthly highlights at the upcoming board meetings.
Great.
And I think that is all that I have.
Okay, well, I'm gonna declare a 5-minute break, for those who need to warm
God
up.
bless you.
Warm up or get coffee, either
Is it-
one.
is it covered?
Oh, I like Jose over there with his sweater. Karen over there with her goosebumps.
I'm dying, I'm hot.
Oh, you're hot?
Yeah, must be my old age, heat flashes in the middle of the day. Well, feel better.
Yes, fine. I'll be by the office at some point this week, Kathy.
Okay.
You're not coming
Um,
tonight?
Oh, yes. Go.
My backyard at my
I'll be there
house.
tonight.
My backyard at my house could use some TLC.
Okay. Yeah.
I was gonna do that this weekend, but
Your
instead I
boobs
did.
are bigger.
Huh?
Did your boobs get bigger?
She just got them hanging out today.
I don't usually wear stuff like that. Well, you know, my daughter didn't have enough breast tissue to breastfeed. How does that happen?
I don't know. My daughter's boyfriend's a piece of shit.
Are you coming tonight?
Yes.
I might get food. I don't know. I haven't decided yet what I'm gonna get. If you have any suggestions.
You don't need to feed everybody.
No, I don't care. It's okay.
I have some junk snacks that I got by accident I can bring. They're little chip bags, garbage.
Who knows how many people will be there? It's very difficult. That's not counting on any of us. Lucky him. Show off. I'm sweating. She's freezing.
Does he know about us? Probably isn't going.
Just daughter works for me.
Oh.
He's actually Shell's rep, or senator.
I got a mom's car
Oh, no.
It busted the inside. She can't, the key broke off in it. She can replace
Inside?
the whole thing, has to find the part at junkyard because they don't make the part anymore. It's been,
Has she gone to the junkyard yet?
no, my mechanic's gonna do it, but my mechanic is sick, really
Okay.
sick.
I was gonna say, the junkyard out on 41 North, out by actually where the property is they bought.
Well, she'll call them all. and
If they have it, they'll pull it for you.
Right.
You don't have to pull
Yeah,
it.
they'll
A
do
lot
it.
of them don't pull it for you.
Right, yeah, no, she works with them, so. And then Emma's got
Orthodonto.
well, it's for the surgeon to have her wisdom teeth.
Who's she doing?
Well, this is her first appointment, so I don't know
Who are
when
you
it's
going
gonna
to?
happen. Mosaic.
Yep. Yep.
So I have that at 2:30, and then your meeting. I have that paper, I'll just
Some
bring it
information
tonight, and I'm
Yep,
gonna try to
that's
show up
fine.
early.
That's fine, we can scan it in.
We
It's
wanna
fine.
have
I'll
see.
Yep.
try to show up early.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we just gotta get it all signed. I'll just sign it, send it in, and then we'll get you the other things once we can count them. There might be an accountant on there, but.
Well, I'm hoping to get her teeth pulled on Friday,
Ooh.
so
Yeah, that's
we'll
not
see.
fun surgery.
And now I'm fighting with her father.
Right, he doesn't want to
Braces.
do
He
it.
doesn't wanna pay for the braces. I've been going through the ringer past
You
couple
should've,
weeks.
you should've, run into
You're on deck, Maria.
an x-ray machine before you.
I know.
Right? Well, now we know x-rays sterile people.
Well,
Aren't you afraid of an x-ray machine now?
no,
It could sterilize you.
The thing about it is when we were young, x-rays used a whole lot of x-ray stuff. And now they use a very minute amount compared to what they used to do.
Well,
So
that's
it's
why they put
safer.
that big thing on you when they do your teeth.
They don't do it anymore.
They do, I thought.
Well, with your teeth, okay.
Yeah.
Now, I know my daughter suffered terribly as a kid with what we thought were allergies and such, and they didn't want to do, I guess, a head x-ray because she was a child. But her quality of life was really bad, so they finally did do one. And now everything's changed because we know what the problem was. So.
So you heard about our thing, deal with his CT scan.
Huh?
Did you hear that whole situation with
A few more minutes.
CT scan?
Ew.
I was a little chilly.
Until the announcement comes
Getting
out.
more and more.
Yeah.
My neck is going higher and higher.
Yeah, and?
He's fine.
Okay.
He's fine. He's
Okay.
fine. He's fine.
Okay, good.
Everything's
All right, I'm
good.
gonna go before you
It all
go.
resolved.
You gonna be all right?
Yeah.
With these criminals? I know you are.
Oh, I want to
Yeah.
meet them. I think so. Yeah, yeah.
Keep giving him
I know, I'm excited.
I'm on a mission now.
So,
They internally pissed me off. All right, I'm
gonna.
out.
Yeah, I'm sorry,
And
yes.
then stencil it and then paint it. 'Cause they're pretty
I'll see you later.
simple, I think. I think I can do it.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just debating on what material to use. Whether buildings are really good or what.
Our special district.
Mine is kind of nice. 'Cause it's, light blue sign. Yeah. I know, everything we have to set up and take down is always so heavy.
So Randy.
Yeah,
can do
true,
that.
because I thought of phone core and I was like, ah, it's just too windy.
Oh,
There's
really?
phone core. Yeah.
Yeah.
At the
So
airport?
I'll probably do
Oh,
like a little hinge.
Daughter left
So
talking
it'll
to her
puff
'cause
up.
she wanted to go out there with her
Okay.
and stuff.
Oh.
Yeah.
She's going out.
I think the guys
Yeah,
at the
but
shop.
for a few weeks, I guess, sleeping on her own.
Yeah.
That's it, that's
Good for
it.
that
Yeah.
adventure.
Yes.
I think that'll be a fun addition to the booth.
She wanted about people.
No, I think I can do like 2, maybe 3. I think 3 is always a good number.
Couldn't change today.
I'm just fucking looking at
Thank you.
like some of them, like 100 kids. And maybe like 50 at a time. And I mean, sometimes an hour, sometimes 2, you know, and my kids that have,
What's her, you never
I'm a
what's her last name? Do you know?
like, it's signed up.
Castro.
Oh, that's right,
Castro.
Castro.
Yeah, it's every day. Because they're all
There's
kids,
some kids
so
up
I've
there,
got like
so
Lake, Holland,
she's hiking into,
so last year
where was she
I
hiking?
did about
Out
15
way out
total.
west,
Now I'm at 15 and I haven't even hit.
Oregon,
And it's
Washington
crazy,
State.
so I'm planning close to 30.
Big mountains,
big trees, we're going out to California. That's where she went. And where else we going? Lake Tahoe and Reno. And I found the,
Yeah, thanks. My dog thinks you're.
All right, well, let me
Yeah, he is.
reconvene. Everybody's warmed up, I hope.
Nice.
All right. Well, I'm doing a little better. And, next on the schedule here today, we have, outreach director, outreach, community and education, Maria Johnson, front and center.
So, good morning, Commissioners, Director.
morning.
Good morning. So, just a reminder that the Pasco County Mosquito Control District Outreach Department is responsible for educating the public, engaging with the Pasco community, and promoting mosquito prevention efforts. We help increase awareness and encourage participation in mosquito control measures. That's what we do. So, for our outreach efforts from our last board meeting, Karen had 12 days of school programs, and she's gonna be busy getting ready now for lots of camps coming up, summer camps coming up. She's had a lot of people reach out to her to come do summer camps. In regards to the SIT outreach to the residents of Pasco County, we had the Suncoast News do an article for us. WFLA, Beyond the News, iHeartRadio did a podcast for us. ABC Action News did a great news piece for us, and so did Bay News 9. And I do want to share with you that when the reporters are here, they're very thankful, every one of them, for everything that we do in the community, and we have a great partnership now with the media. So we thank them for all their support. In regards to community events, there was an Earth Day event at Cruise Lake in April, and then the Bloodmobile was here in May. In regards to some networking things, continuously networking in the community and sharing with people all about what we do here at Mosquito Control, and I get very positive feedback from everyone. And I invited Director Rogers to the Pasco County Commission on the Status of Women annual luncheon. We both attended that, and that was excellent. It was a sold-out event. Just to share with you, stay tuned. We've shared this in the past, but there is going to be front and center Pasco County Mosquito Control District in the Trinity Living magazine. It will be in the June issue. We're front cover with several, a great story inside. That magazine actually reaches 3,500 homes, Champions Club, Fox Hollow, Heritage Springs, Foxwood, Trinity Lakes Preserves area. So we're very excited. That comes in the efforts of networking and people saying, we love what you do and you need to tell everybody about that. And so we were very honored to be able to help spread that awareness on mosquito control and protecting public health. So thank you to Trinity Living Magazine for that. As Commissioner Abbott also mentioned, after one of the tours, we had a really great article in one of the Starkey Ranch neighborhoods. She took the tour, she was here taking notes, and she told me she was going to be doing a great community article on that. And so we thank her a lot for a really great article that she did for us. And then last but not least, myself and Commissioner Abbott attended Washington, D.C., the American Mosquito Control Association 27th Annual Conference. We were honored to be able to educate key legislators and policymakers on the importance of mosquito control, the work we do, and how federal actions impact mosquito control and the communities we all serve. And so we had some really great positive talks with several of our congressmen, and the one thing that I got from it is they were, number one, very receptive to what we do at Mosquito Control. They listened to us, they asked questions, they wanted to be educated in the proper way, and above all, they thanked us for everything that we do. And so I really found that
It was a great experience and one that we definitely always should be attending in Washington. So, Commissioner Abbott, thank you for a great first time in Washington for myself personally. So we also did some great drop-ins, we had some appointments and we did some very great drop-ins. And what a drop-in means is you don't maybe necessarily have an appointment with a congressman, but you drop in their office. What myself and Commissioner Abbott really loved is there was actually a "come on in" sign that is on every door, right, sir? And so we did, we walked in and we were able to actually, tell them who we are, give them some information on why we're there. And again, they actually came out because they heard we were from mosquito control and they talked to us, so I love that. So, any questions on anything that we're doing in outreach? All right.
Great job.
Good job.
Thank you.
Let me just add to Washington Days that some of the things we're covering there is, and Maria will provide you with the pamphlets and the detail of it all, because the Clean Water Act, for instance, is talked into the SMASH Act, the special districts, drones, so quite a few different things that we weren't covering in the Florida legislature. And I would tell you, or Maria should tell you, in comparison to what we do in Tallahassee and the way that it's orchestrated, organized there, is 5-10 times more organized, better. They spend 4, 5, 6 hours educating, bringing in Bailey from,
Rise?
huh?
Rise?
No, not Rise, I'm talking about,
Oh,
Florida, US Forest Service.
oh, yes, yes.
So the US Forest Service is there, for a segment of it. EPA is, with us. And so they bring in, several experts that we interface, or we should be interfacing with, in addition to really coaching first-timers also, and getting people comfortable, in doing what they do. And I know that you all have done this, so it wouldn't be anything a whole lot different for you all, but it's really giving more people confidence also to understand that you are the industry experts. And they appreciate and understand when you get in their offices, because there's a lot of parts of this nation that has very little to no experience, in this arena. So it's a great nonpartisan interaction, that happens up there. So there you go. Maria has all the detail for you. And she does great, as you know, getting in an office. You can get any office as long as you have Maria on.
Yeah, that's right.
She says we're
She went
here.
blitzing to the Capitol.
Okay, well, thank you for that report. Okay. Nick, got some good news for us on safety this month?
We had one, traffic-related incident, employee involved, state troopers came out, did the report, we were not at fault, just got hit from a different vehicle accident, so.
Is anybody hurt?
Not at the time of the incident, there was further medical, assistance, I guess, or medical attention.
Evaluation.
So, I don't know the results of that, so I couldn't answer that. The damage to the vehicle is minimal, CJ can fix it in-house. So, but we did have that one safety incident this week, or this month, and that's it.
And who needs further medical attention, our employee or the other party?
Ours, but,
Okay.
yeah, that's still in the process, Lindsay has that all
All right.
figured out.
What type of vehicle was it?
So our vehicle is just a Ford F-150, just driving to do their job, and somebody swerved over and tapped her.
Okay.
I understand we have a female ULD driver now?
The new hire, yes.
Is that our first?
In the district's history, I don't know. It's the first that I'm aware of.
So first.
It is.
Good. Joanne, is that what you said?
Joan.
Joan, okay. you're on deck.
Alright.
Now it's your turn. Go
So
ahead.
in 2025 thus far, for West Nile virus, we've, in the state of Florida, there has been 1 horse and 22 positive sentinel chickens, including 1 in Pasco, that was back in January. Triple E, the state has seen 2 horses, 2 emus, and 7 sentinel chickens. Pasco has not seen any this year yet. Dengue cases, travel related, there have been 72 cases in Florida, and 1 case in Pasco for travel dengue. And that case was back from March, that's the case that was March. And then the local dengue, there has been 1 case in Florida from Miami-Dade, 0 from Pasco this year. Chikungunya, there has been 1 travel-related case in Florida, none from Pasco. And malaria, there have been 12 travel-related cases in Florida, none from Pasco. We are currently monitoring 3 Department of Health suspect arboviral cases, 1 for local Zika, 1 for local chikungunya, and 1 for local dengue. So we have not heard confirmatory results for those yet, so we are waiting on those. But we are monitoring surveillance, and we've had the inspectors out in those areas. And as of April 20th, Pasco is no longer under a mosquito-borne illness alert. So,
Wow.
yeah. And that's it for me.
Mr. Chairman, the Puerto Rican dengue outbreak, has that been quelled for the most part, or we still have problems down there?
To my knowledge, it's not necessarily quelled, but for the, it's slower in the season right now. We also are just not seeing as many travel-related cases coming into Puerto Rico as well, so I would say, but I'd have to look into it to give you a better idea.
And the area off of Ridge where, pardon me, it was a little problematic for a while. Has that been?
We have not seen more than those 2 cases that were there. They were right in the same area and right around the same time, so it seemed like there might be continued activity there, but we have not heard any more cases in that area.
Do we have traps in that area, or close?
We've trapped at those areas when we had the cases, and we do have a trap in the area, but it's not in that neighborhood.
With every case that we learn of that is suspected, so as you all know, we learn upon suspicion, we don't wait for confirmatory testing before we're notified. So as soon as we learn of a case, we initiated increased surveillance in that area, specifically looking for whatever the target mosquito species is, the primary vector for whether it's dengue, triple E, West Nile. So we do have protocols in place for every new case that we learn of, suspected or confirmed, and then we have a certain duration of time that we conduct surveillance in that area after we are identified of the case. So at any given time, you know, right now we have a couple extra that we added last week because we were alerted to suspected chikungunya and Zika cases, which to have the medical community in Pasco County actually looking for both Zika and chikungunya is tremendous.
Yeah.
You know, we've been working for 5 years to try to get the medical community to search for mosquito-borne disease, so I think the fact that they even suspected it could be a mosquito-borne disease is a really big step. And so I think our education efforts have really been paying off. So, you know, I'm glad to see that they're looking at that, at a mosquito-borne disease as being a potential for some of the symptoms that these people are presenting. So that's positive. As far as what's happening globally, 2024, dengue reached unprecedented levels. There were over 14 million cases worldwide, over 10,000 deaths reported from dengue in 2024. The Americas were particularly affected, accounting for over 13 million of those cases. A lot of that being in Puerto Rico and some of the other territories. It was the worst year on record for the Americas, and a significant public health challenge. This year, 2025, already by March, there were more than 760,000 cases reported globally of dengue by March alone. That's a 15% increase compared to the previous 5-year average. So, you know, dengue locally, we did have cases, of locally acquired dengue last year in Pasco County. You all are well aware of that, but, there were 85 locally acquired cases identified in the state of Florida. So not just here in Pasco, it's not confined to any single locality. We've been very proactive in monitoring and controlling Aedes aegypti populations to try to mitigate the spread of dengue and other mosquito-borne diseases, and of course we'll continue to do that. But I think the presence of dengue in Pasco County reflects a much broader environmental and epidemiological issue, as it affects not only our region but beyond. And so, dengue is going to continue to be an issue for us globally, as something that we need to be very aware of and take the necessary steps to try to mitigate the risk.
Is it more pervasive than malaria or not?
So it's
Good question.
dengue is more of an urban issue. So as the county is gentrifying, as we're seeing the expanses of pasture land converted to densely populated communities, it is a bigger issue, a much bigger concern for us as the landscape in the county is physically being altered. We're moving to a more urbanized environment, and that's why globally it's an issue because of globalization, urbanization, climate change. Whatever side of the climate debate you fall on, there's no denying that global surface temperatures are increasing, and what that does is increases the range of these mosquito vectors, these different species. It's putting them in new locations that they were never found before, which broadens the risk for disease transmission to those areas. It's also extending the season, if you will. When I started here 6 years ago, we weren't running trucks and doing suction trap surveillance all year round. That stopped. My first year, it was right around Thanksgiving. The following year, it was a little bit into December, and every year it's gotten, our season, if you can call it that anymore, has extended and gotten longer. This past year, because of the late hurricanes and all of the flood water that remained for months after the storm, we had West Nile virus transmission. We didn't stop running our ULV trucks and the enhanced surveillance. I think there was maybe a very brief window where we did stop just to maintenance and service all of our equipment, but we were running trucks through February and doing the ULV treatments because we still had disease presence because of the situation that's happening. And that's, there's no denying that those things are happening. And so it's going to continue to be an issue for us. Malaria, there are different circumstances around the habitats for those species, also the ways it affects and is transmitted. And so dengue is a bigger concern just because of what's happening globally with dengue, but also as our communities are becoming more urbanized, it's certainly more of a concern for us here locally.
The malaria transmission you mentioned, travel related, do they get to the point and try to hone in on which airport that is, or it doesn't go to that level?
Malaria?
I mean, what the source is, or they don't?
Well, they do question the people as to where they traveled, because when they come in with a travel-related case, they do know that it's travel-related.
Does
so
that ever
they-
get passed through to you or not?
I believe that these are all in the reports,
Okay.
in the Florida reports, so when they do know, they do publish that in the report.
And it's not specific for the airport though, it's the region of the globe that they travel to. Because what they're concerned with is where is it coming from, not ports of entry that they're traveling through.
I see.
And unfortunately, people aren't always honest. So during the investigation, part of the process for the Department of Health is to investigate and to interview the individual. Some people won't respond to an interview. They don't want to be questioned. They won't provide information, and some people just lie. I mean, we've seen that before. know, whether maybe they traveled and they didn't, for whatever reason, they didn't wanna share that information, or they
Mhm.
traveled to an area that they didn't mention, or, you know, maybe they're in multiple areas and they failed to provide all of the areas that they went to, so, you know, it's only as good as the data that's provided. So we don't always get a full picture. So we, you know, we do the best we can with the information we're provided. Our main focus is to try to reduce mosquito populations so that we don't have, so that the potential for local transmission is decreased. That's the goal.
You know,
Regardless of where it came from.
I've been interviewed by Department of Health. You know, I told you, I came back from the Galapagos Islands with a bug, and, they wanna know a lot of information. They really do, you know, it's, I mean, in my case, I had no problem sharing it with them, but, you know, it's more than just, you know, where were you and, you know, how did it come about, or, you know what I mean? It's really in depth, and I get it, they're trying to build patterns and, understand the science, so, it's but yeah, it's intensive. And it does sort of catch you off guard, cause, you know, in my case, I was ill, and then you have a health official talking, it's like, whoop, you know?
Well, we certainly can see the importance of it now, that's for sure.
Back on the Puerto Rico dengue though, the CDC did extend the, public health emergency up until, December of 2025, so they foresee it continuing. The data from April seems lower than what they originally saw in March, but, and then the data in May has not been, completely reported yet, so, the trend seems to go a little lower, but the CDC did extend until the end of the year, so it's a little early to tell for sure.
Thank you.
Thanks, Simon.
Okay, next item up, let's go to the order. What do you all have?
I have a few things.
Good. Go
First,
ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I wanna commend each and every one of you here working, and if you'd pass it on to those out in the field. I think Adrian Rogers is the best executive director in the state of Florida. That's my humble opinion. I can't speak for the other two commissioners, but I'm sure they probably agree.
I do.
You folks make her look good, and therefore the whole outfit looks great. We are viewed by the public via the media that you bring the attention to. I listen to WFLA a lot, and I've heard Adrian's podcast, I've heard the interviews, I watch the news, I see her on there. It's amazing to me when my short tenure here is 5 years, I think I've been a commissioner here. Where we were when I first got on and where we are now it's amazing. I mean, we have all this media, we have the education truck, just everything, community outreach, and things are just going well. I'm very proud to be a part of this. I believe Adrian earns every penny that she makes. I think she's an incredible asset to the mosquito district, and I can't say enough about how humbling it is to be part of this, and I'm very proud. I am very upset about the new campus not being built, and I've changed my mind on that, and I have to live with this decision, and that's why I do support the new campus, and I just think it's the right way to go with Pasco's growth, and with everything going on, and all the dengue virus, popping up in urban areas like you discuss, and the fact that all these apartment complexes are going in, the need is even greater that we have a campus that will sustain us for the next 100 years. I think this is really shooting us in the foot, and unfortunately, a few ignorant people have gotten bad information and influenced the right politicians. I also wanted to mention the passing of Gary Joyner, former commissioner. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd dovetail on what you said about the employees. I certainly appreciate everything you all do out there, and I know how hard you work, and it's, I'm very active in our community, and all I hear is positive things. When there's somebody may express a concern or a question, you go above and beyond the answer, and most of the times it's just because they didn't understand, a particular situation or why things are done and why things aren't done. But all I hear really is really positive things, and that people understand the importance of the work that you do. There are a few ignorant people out there that don't care about, facts or understanding anything. They're just out there to try to make other people look bad, and it's pretty sad that that's what their existence is, but it is what it is. So, keep up the good work, and thank you.
With that being said, both at the state and national level, we're well recognized as a district, as a leader. And our leaders are well recognized. There's a nod, somebody just tell you from experience last week. But yeah, when they use the term pastoral mosquito control, it's leadership recognition, so really good stuff. So what else do I have? So I will submit my retirement papers today and get that underway. And see who's ready to take the reins here in the future. There you go. And with that, our upcoming meetings are June 24th, July 15th, August 19th. And, the Special Districts Conference here in a few days. She'll be at, right, Adrian?
Yes.
Okay. And then this year, again, we're recognizing Juneteenth, if I can say it right, Juneteenth holiday, right? Okay. All right. Motion for adjournment? So moved.
Well, I just want to say, your little announcement about you retiring, I'm sorry to hear that, because you have really made a huge positive impact on the district for all the years you've served. And the fact that, you take the time to go and advocate for the district and mosquito control is really to be commended. I mean, you work very hard for a very meager salary that we
Oh, yeah,
get.
thank you. I am looking forward to my retirement pay. 20 years of service, you do get $200. You got something to look forward to.
Once.
So, I quit drinking beer, so I'm not really sure what I'm gonna spend the money on.
There you go.
Bourbon.
There you go.
Gosh.
No, thank you, Matt, and I'll
Yeah,
move
thank you.
it.
It's a pleasure. When's your retirement? Well, I discussed with HR, I don't know yet. I'll probably kick it off July 1st.
He's a good guy.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. That's probably just drop. I don't know.
Going to drop.
Depends what HR tells me. Is HR here today? Oh, well, I guess it's not today then. No, when you're forced out, that's what you gotta do. Yeah.
Aren't you,
How are you
you're
forced
okay
out?
for another year or two, are you not?
Well, you know, I did wanna bring that up, that we will all, who want to participate, will get to go to public hearings to set up, where the new commissioner will reside. And then by the end of the year, that will be published. But we were supposed to be able to participate in that, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll also see if they ever disclose how much hundreds of thousands of dollars this is gonna cost the taxpayer, because it will, because they're gonna have to send out a voter identification card. And with, 500,000 voters out there, it's gonna cost a bundle. But none of that was revealed.
No.
Yeah. But,
Now, did this get signed? It hasn't been signed yet, has it?
it'll get signed by the governor this
Oh,
week.
yeah, he'll sign it.
Yeah, I mean, he's got some pretty pressing issues, unrelated to this. So, but, the folks who wanted change got it, and they'll get it now.
Don't know what you do.
Yeah.
Your term isn't ending for another 2 years,
No, it ends in 26.
but you're resigning at this point?
No, I didn't say I was resigning, I'm retiring.
Are you retiring from the district? Okay, so you're leaving the board.
No, I don't know about that.
Oh, he's not, you're not leaving.
You're-
We're not,
you're-
we can't, we're not gonna.
It's up to what HR tells me.
me.
It depends what my options are. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just
Yeah.
confused, but I'll see as it
Yeah, if you haven't
unfolds.
been, I mean, FRS, I'm not really sure either, I have to talk to FRS.
So you have a retirement from serving on the board here?
Yeah,
Okay, that's what I missed.
yeah, there's retirement, like I say, if and when I collect it, it'll be $200 a month, so I'm, looking forward to that raise.
Well,
Yeah.
it's not really, you don't do this job for the money, you do it because you want to.
No, you don't.
You're doing it for community
Definitely
service.
don't, neither do the, city council members and the mayors of our communities,
Mhm.
they
It's out of
do it
love.
because they wanna make a difference and they believe in public service. I was speaking to a couple council members last night about that. But, it's really a shame the way this thing went down, but it did. And, fortunately, the district will survive, and people recognize all over how well we're doing, so I really do believe that it will continue on for forever. So, that's a good thing. And, politics are politics. When you get in this job, you have to understand you never know what the next corner might be. That's for sure. All right, well, thank you.
All right.
Motion to close.
Yep, motion adjourned.
Okay, all adjourned.